Ago, I brought this along. Several of you saw it, and so I thought, number one, I want to show you a little bit of that. It's made out of 3 pieces, so it's called Inside Outside, and that's why I put Ed's picture on the website, because it's the same kind of idea. He used 4 pieces, and this is 3. So now, when we look at 3 pieces, how in the world do you cut it? Well, what I did, number one, I saw an article on it, so I said, I got to try it. So they said you use 60-degree cuts. Well, I can't use that on my table saw. So that's why we have the bandsaw up front here. So I set the blade 60 degrees, and I mean, you've got to be accurate with it. If you're not accurate, it will not fit. So if you set it accurately at 60 degrees, it really will work. That's exactly how I made this, and it fit nice. It's nice, snug fit, each one. So now this afternoon, I said, okay, I'm going to quickly make one. So I cut it. Oops, it's not quite right. It's just not tight. So then I looked, and I carefully looked again, and I didn't have it quite on 60 degrees. It just does not fit. What you do is you glue this end, do your turning. But I recommend, number one, figure out what your end product's going to be on the outside. Figure the outside out first. Draw it out. Or you're going to have a mishmash of, well, I'll do another curve here, another cut here, and it just doesn't quite work out. So plan it. If you plan it, it'll look nice. So what you do is, let's set it at 60 degrees. And I really worked hard on getting this thing exactly on. And I think I'm very, very close. I can see there's a line on the 60 degrees, and I could barely see light all the way along the line. So now let's see. So if I have, where's my piece of wood? What did I do with the piece of wood?
Over here. I spent a quarter of my time in the shop looking for stuff. Let's see what you do.
Oh, here, right in front of my eyes. Oh, wait a minute, first. For those of us that are not fortunate enough to have a fence, I made this. And I just have several nice little clamps. Here, let me get the clamp here. This is just some wood I had laying around. Happens to be curly maple. And this works pretty well. Usually they're hollow underneath. The rigs there, I mean the table, they're hollow underneath. And you kind of mess with it a little bit, but it works out real nice. The problem with it is you got to always reset it, which you also have to reset this. But then I measure from the top edge down to here and make sure that it's parallel to this. And assuming that the blade is parallel to the setup on the saw, that it's gonna be close. So you just set it so that it's the right distance. But this is a simple way to do it. You don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. I wanted to show you that because you don't have to spend a lot of money on a lot of things. You can make a little jig and it works.
One thing you can do, if your bandsaw has drift in it, and you can find out if you'll draw a line straight down the board and start it through your bandsaw, you'll find that you're having to move to one side or the other in order to keep your blade on that line.
Yeah.
Well, take a fairly long piece and saw about halfway through and then stop in the middle of the cut. That long piece will give you the angle of your drift, and you can set that fence at that angle, and that will help you keep your cut straight.
Good. Good. Okay, in this case, what I'll do is I'll set it so that the bottom gives me a little bit of just a little edge off the corner. Now assume I got it set up right. So then, let me have a push stick. And I'm going to turn my back to this, so I don't know where where's my...
There's a light there on it. I don't know if it's plugged in, but you can plug it in and it really will help with the setting.
Yeah, I forgot to plug it in here too.
Oh, okay. But it really helps.
Now I'm going to bring this down a little bit. There you go. Okay, let's see if I got it. And bandsaws are very safe if you don't do anything stupid. Like I did one time, I got 2 fingers almost cut off. Okay, now I simply take and measure the exposed edge that I cut, and this measures 1 3/16 inch. Check it a couple times just to make sure that this is a little strong on 1 3/16. And this is also a little strong on 1/16. 1 1/16. So now what I do is I just come over I measure exactly 1 1/16 of an inch.
1/16 or 3/16?
3/16. Well, don't worry about what I say.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay, so now I got 1 3/16. So now I need to reset this fence so that I'm going to cut right on the money. Now that looks like I'm a little bit high. Still a little high. I think I need to go the other way.
Maybe Woodturning is different 30 drill. More vertically.
Quite. There, that's real close. Check it the other direction. Maybe. Check it again. That's just about perfect. Now, providing I measured correctly and everything. Now, I'll come around this way so you can see. So now we'll do the same thing. Okay, now we got 2. Now, is the third one going to work? So again, it's the exposed edge that I first cut, then I measure across, and if I get this edge and this edge exactly same, then it will be a, what do we call that? Equilateral? Parallelogram. Okay, so now the only thing is it takes a little time like this to measure. but it's well worth the time.
You don't make test cuts before to make sure your angle's right? You just assume it.
Pardon?
You don't make a test cut, 3 little pieces, to make sure you're...
If you got it right, it's right.
Okay.
Moses, is there any, did you try setting your table saw on 30 degrees and cutting your board vertically against the fence?
No, I didn't. I did not.
That first piece you cut, should that now fit one of the,
Yep. That'll fit.
Well, on these angles,
take the one out that you did earlier and replace it with this one, you have all 3?
It's the first one I cut. Oh, wait a minute. Which one was it? Where's the other one?
You
I
only
have
cut one.
3
You only
here.
cut one.
You only cut one.
You brought 3 that you cut, and one didn't fit.
This is the other one.
I wonder where you come up with that second one. I thought you did it by magic. You only cut one.
Oh, I only cut one.
I wonder where you come. I wonder where you pull the other one out of your, like a rabbit.
I'll just do this.
Stick.
Now, I gotta bring this up. Now this is a fairly coarse blade, but I think it works fine. Mine is about the same way. Alright. It's tracking off a little bit.
that's the drift that I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's the drift. You'll get less drift over the wide blade like you've got in there now than you will with the little narrow blade. You get more drift with the narrow blade. Another thing that'll help you is to get one of these Wixley little Beal tilt boxes, a little box. Bill used it when he set up his segment to set your table with. Because it'll zero it out, it'll put it on perfect, and if your eyes aren't too good anymore, you can see the numbers on it. It makes it kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice one. I wish I'd have one.
They probably got one with large numbers.
Yeah, that's right. The bigger the better.
Reader Digest or something.
And bigger buttons.
Yeah, right.
It's got a battery that big of
Oh.
Get up to a car battery, carry a 12-volt car battery around it.
Jumper cables is the problem.
Okay, and right on 1 3/16. So, the thing that I messed with on my saw is I put rollers on here. Actually, it's a club saw. And it was given to us several years ago by Charlotte when the lower block was destroyed somehow and just fell apart. So I made a new one out of some a chunk of aluminum that I had at home and fit it in there, and it worked for a while. And then after a while I said I was having a lot of problems with it, just the drift and everything, and it didn't seem, the blade was kind of cocked, and I messed with it, and then I went and bought rollers for it, the bearings, and it's worth it. That runs so nice and sweet now, I tell you, big time. Okay, so bring it down again. Oops, it's gonna hit that time. Okay, so we'll have to do something, some alternate method.
Raise your gun.
Pardon?
Raise your gun.
Oh, well, sure. Why not? No. There we go. Okay, try it there. Now that looks a little fat. See, it looks like this is not quite
Probably not.
square. Maybe, hey, is this is not an adjustment. No, that's not an adjustment.
How's that? Look at it again.
So it's off a little
Okay,
bit.
try now.
That's pretty close. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, now, cut it again. Give it a whirl. Now, it'll work. I don't know how else to do it like except this way. In other words, how else you gonna test it? Hey, look,
Nice job.
fits pretty nice. Dave saw, I'll do it again. So now what I usually do is I'll glue it, just 3 little spots with white glue. I tried CA and it wouldn't hold. Maybe I didn't use enough or something, I don't know. Then I'll go ahead and tape it with a tape to hold it secure. Now that we got it taped, I'll go around the back now. That's secure, then you can start turning. But again, you need to plan it ahead of time so that you know what you're doing. Now I had a little bit of a plan on this one. I wanted to spire a little bit like a minaret that you see from the Far East. So that's what I ended up with. I know I could have done it differently here, and I just goofed off. But at the bottom, I wanted it to have like a Roman column. And I ended up bringing that same square piece up here. See, so this square would go there. If you want, the thicker material will make a bigger unit. Okay? So you see the difference there. And this is about an inch, I think. That's inch and a 1/16 thick stock. So with the inch and 1/16 thick versus 3/4 inch, that's the difference. And so then after you have the outside planned, then turn the inside first. And what I would do is I would say, okay, in this case, I want a spire. And then I'm going to do this and this and this. And plan it out. Okay, and here's the bottom. Here's my Roman column, you know. And kind of plan it out. Then you figure out in your mind, I wanted to copy the inside of the column for the outside. So that's what I did. I turned just as if it were the outside of the column. And then once I had the way I wanted it, then I just took a chisel, hit the edges, split it apart, put it back together. Now you do the final turn that you had planned on. And I like to do kind of like a mirror of what you do on the outside, do it on the inside. So, you know, make the inside and the outside. Tim?
You know, you were talking earlier about gluing it in a couple places. Yeah, and I've only done an inside out one time, and I think the technique described was using paper with the glue because it would help separate it. But like with that, you know, you said you're just putting like a little dab of glue up. I mean, how many places along that are you doing it? Just like 3 little small places?
Just in one end.
Just
Each
end?
one on each end.
But you're taping around it also, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm taping it around, yes.
Okay.
Okay, if you're not working in a particular area, then you're
I'm using a mask, duct tape, because it's more sturdy.
Okay.
And make it just as tight as I can go, and I maybe go twice around it, so that it puts as much security on there as I can. And I left it on to do the turning on this one. And here, I didn't really plan the way I should have on this one, but I wanted a round spot here, and again I came up with a spire. Then down here I did the same kind of thing, but then I broke it off, and you end up with, if you do just a little bit, you end up with a little slot, which is kind of neat. And in some places here, you can't hardly tell that it's not the same piece of wood once you get it sanded and stuff. And then I took some sandpaper and stuck it through here and got the rough edges out. You sand it first before you take it apart. But then when you cut it, you got little raw edges. So you stick a little piece of sandpaper through and just trim it up. So then, in this case, I was going to go ahead and finish this out, but I forgot my steady rest. And I've been working on getting a new steady rest made. And I didn't get it done. Okay. Actually, I should do it the other direction. That's wrong. This chuck is nice in that it closes smaller than my stronghold chuck does. Okay, now, if I would have a steady rest, I put the steady rest right here. Then, as soon as I get this down to a reasonable thickness, then I'll go ahead, use the steady rest only, and back this off. So I'm not going to be able to complete it because I don't have the steady rest, because I just can't keep it solid. So let me see if Dave's got one here that I can borrow. It comes apart, because I really can't quite finish it anyway. Another thing, I'm sure a lot of you know this, but I gotta tell you anyway. When you sharpen your tools, you've got little grooves all the way around the outside of here. If you touch this on your wood and you're riding the bevel, you put a little extra pressure on it. If you have a nice sharp tool, you make a clean cut and riding the bevel, you don't have to sand. It works nice. I'm going to stop there, but you can see where we're going with it. I just need a steady rest. Now this is going to be crooked, so I may have to do a little bit of hand sanding in order to make this come out to aspire. But we're there. The other thing is, when you're doing this, you're making a cut, and you have to, if you have things to match, you see how they're I've got these jagged edges. So I make a small cut, I stop, I check, is this gonna match? You make another little cut, you just take your time and make small cuts, then you can match the inside and the outside just about perfectly. Right, one of these spots, right here, there's a little bit of a spot, you can't even see it from there probably, that actually was a flat spot. But I've taken this down almost the same amount, and I should take it down just a hair more because there's a little teeny tiny flat spot. But that's how to do it. It's really not that hard. You have to have a little bit of patience. So try it. I think you can see, one of you guys mentioned 30-degree cut on a table saw or another saw. If you make a 30-degree cut, how would you do that?
Well, hold probably the board up against the fence.
Against the fence.
Yeah, rather than against the table.
Yeah. So you bring it up against the fence like this.
No,
The board's vertical instead
The
of
board's
horizontal.
vertical.
Oh, yeah, you're standing the board up instead of laying it down.
Right.
And then you'd end up with your 60.
Right. Because 30 and 60 is 90. You got 90 degrees on this table saw. Okay, so you can do it on the table saw too, okay? If you can't figure that out, call up Roland Bird.
If you don't make a lot of them, you could probably make a nice little jig to hold it.
Yeah?
Well, you
Yeah,
can
you
cut a
could.
long one and cut it in lengths too.
Sure. Make a long cut, that's right. One long cut would be simpler than to make each individual one.
That's true. If you got a long board.
And if it's accurate, it'll fit. So, I love it. There's lots of things I know that you can do with this that I haven't even explored. And I know that you can, as much as your imagination comes up with, it'll come up with it. It'll work. Just play with it. Don't be afraid to try something. Just draw it out. Then once you got it drawn out, it gives you a lot of confidence. Oh, I can do that. But if you don't draw it up, you know your mind often gets stuck in something that you don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's hard maple.
Yeah, that's hard maple.
Why don't you pass that around?
Okay, now this other part. A friend of mine gave me an idea last winter. We were up in Ohio, and he helped me. He gave me an idea, and I said, I gotta try that. So I left it go for a little bit, and then I played with it. And I think I brought, somebody got a bowl, a red bowl.
Yeah.
I gave it away one day.
I got
Yeah.
it.
You got it,
Yeah.
okay? Have you made any others?
No, but I got it sitting there to remind me.
Okay.
I haven't it somewhere yet.
So you start out with a cube. And I looked on the, I Googled it, I looked on the AW website, and I've not seen anybody else do this. I don't know, they probably did. Now there's some people that do what they call a,
Rocking bowl?
Rocking box.
Rocking box?
yeah, I think so. They call it a cubic something else too.
It's, Mark St. Ledger in Virginia.
Oh, he's done that? Okay. So the difference from him and me is, from that point, is they use it from this point down. This is the bottom of the bowl. And they cut it away and you get a curve like this. And it ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. 1, 2, Yeah, and it scallops. Actually, no, it ends up being three-sided also. Because you got 1, 2, 3 sides right here.
Right.
So it'd be a three-sided scallop. But I do it differently. I cut it in half. Now I got 2 bolts.
How did you make that cut?
Very carefully. Number 1, you put it between centers, and I left the center on there so you can see it. And here's the other center. I put it between centers. Then I cut it in far enough that I can get a chuck on it. And it's simple using, you have to have sharp tools because these angles will make the wood split off fierce. You have to be very careful. Just take it easy. I just used a sander and hit the corner where I thought was about right, and it doesn't have to be exact, just to get a flat area to put your centers on. And then I even took, and where's my pencil again? I can't talk without a pencil. So then I took this corner, I'll do it on this piece. I took this corner and I drew a line down through this corner, drew a line down through, and this corner again, and at the intersection is where I put it in. You can get it pretty close without that, but that helps to draw it like that. So now I get it in between there and I cut it down so that I have this. The problem with it is if I have a parting tool that is this long, I got too much overhang. I got too much leverage out here. Way too much. You cannot cut this. You can't do it. So I cut in a little ways, then I finish it with the handsaw. It's the only way I cannot do it any other way. The other thing that happens is it comes up, this triangle, something happens with this triangle and you get a draft coming off of there. There's a lot of wind. And the one thing it helps is it kind of scares me, so I kind of make sure I don't get too close. But it is pretty mean. So you have to bring it around the rest, bring it around close to here so that you can do this cutting. And then do the opposite side also and get that ready. Then cut it in half. And then I go ahead and make the cuts and cut off the tailstock, the center. Yeah. And you cannot put it on anything and get it to work right. Well, there we go. Now, and it helps to hold your tongue right. Now I got one end off, and I can go ahead and cut the other one too. And then cut the middle off. Notice also this piece is split off. That's because of the angles that we're cutting, and you've got to be careful. It just splits off so easy.
You just stopped the rest of your arm.
I don't mind using a handsaw. My dad taught me how to do it. Don't fight it. Just let it slide. You let it slide. Don't try to push it in there or anything. Just let it go back and forth. And here I am working hard at it, right?
I'm lazy. I'd have to get my sawzall out.
Well, maybe. No, you can't turn this off the rest.
Just sit the blade on it like a reed.
Yeah. You can't do. And
You imagine that piece flying off when you got through it.
where'd that saw end up? Okay, now I'm a little crooked on that. Now it's not, something's not quite right. And I try to bring a corner up to the tool rest.
Keep you straight then.
Yeah. I teach the kids to do this time after time. You can take something off the lathe, and if you do it like this, you can put it back in the lathe. It won't be perfect, but it's going to be awful close. I have put it in where it was not even jumping. Okay, all clear. There's that air coming off. So then, now another trick that I use,
Is that poplar?
actually this is basswood. You know why I'm using basswood? Because that's what I had on hand. I use this a lot. The kids use it. It works. I simply take a drill bit, any size extra drill bit that you have, and just make yourself a little handle and stick it in there with a little epoxy. And then I come in here and I say, well, I want to make it about that deep. Make a little mark on here. Now, I just push it in until I meet that mark. Now when I get done, go down there hollow. When I get to the bottom of that, I know I'm about to right down. I can go a little deeper if I want, but I know it's pretty close. And that gives me probably about almost a ½ inch there. And it works nice that way. So, and then it's just a simple hollowing, but you notice also the tear out that you get. Now this is a soft wood. but you get a lot of tear out over here, and here it's nice and smooth. And so when you get to hollowing it with the grain going crosswise here, like any bowl, I think you get it even a little worse here, especially when you're working on these edges. And that's when you get a little splits off, coming off of there, and you have to just be very, very careful. So, I'm going to switch to another one. Where did I put it?
Is that the one on the?
There it is. Now this is the other half of that one. That one's completed.
What kind of wood is that?
All kinds.
Zebra wood.
Laminate.
I think it was a laminectomy or something. Well, maybe something like that. Pardon?
Leftovers?
Yep. And this piece here, I'm very, very proud of. The guy that gave me the idea on this, he and his wife have a big shop in southern Ohio. He makes furniture, does carving, does turning, everything. And she just made a set of cabinets for their house, which is a 3-story, what is it, 6,000 square feet?
10,000, 1 bedroom, 10,000 square foot
Wow.
house.
1 bedroom?
That is
Good.
Oh,
Keeps
yeah.
company away.
The second floor is,
That's
the
nice.
basement is nothing but their shop and wood.
Oh,
that's
wow. That's a man cave.
That
It
is
was a furniture store.
Oh, my.
So, bring pictures, bring pictures.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and this piece was in their burn pile. They have a wood stove downstairs. And he says, you can get anything off there you want. I found this piece, and it's bark included, or there's another little bit different than that word. Bark included, or something.
Inclusion.
Inclusion. Cherry. So you look here, there's a little tiny streaks here and there. That's bark.
Oh, neat.
Or minute pieces of bark or portions of bark. So then, put this back in. Now notice right here is the thing that chipped out. That chipped out when I was sanding here. So, all I know is it's going to have to be that much smaller now. So you just be very, very careful in your approach. I have this other one here. I'll use this one. But I've already hollowed this out, and I briefly played with the idea maybe I should leave that as a cone. I don't know. Or maybe I'll make it round this time. Yeah, pass that one around then too if you want. But you can see a corner, one corner of that is a piece of this bark included, what do you call it? Inclusion.
Like inclusion.
This piece right here is on that piece.
Okay.
And you see how crooked it is. I got a strong 1/8 of an inch between there. And that's because of cutting it with all these different angles. And you get weird shapes coming out of here. I mean, you put your hand in here and there's little grooves all over. So. must not be.
Something's going on.
'Cause that's the way it runs all the time, it seems like. Maybe calms down a little bit after you get going further. But that's the complicated part of it.
Yeah.
It's not simple and not easy.
Well, you
but
have
it's
different,
very easy.
You have different weights of wood on different sides of the axis.
That's probably why it is. I believe this is black walnut here.
Yeah. Some
And then I got cherry and
maple.
cherry and maple, and I think this is another piece of walnut, but it's, no, I think that's mahogany, I'm sorry.
That'll throw your weight off no matter how centered you are.
Yeah,
How do you finish the bottom? How do you hold it to finish the bottom?
well, I just brought it out and cut it off with a handsaw. Then I borrowed a belt sander from Bill.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And at first, I was gonna leave these corners sharp on that other piece,
That.
but I had a bad corner, so I said, oh, okay, I'll just make another facet there. So I just made facets on everything. This one I obviously haven't finished as much as that one. I've got, I think, 3 coats of oil on there. In fact, that piece of,
It is sharp.
that quart of oil that's over there is the same kind. And that was, yeah, the Danish oil finish. And then I just rubbed it real good with a dry cloth. Let it dry in between and rubbed it again.
That's pretty cherry.
What did you sand that on, a belt sander?
So much cherry
Yeah.
in that cherry.
Yeah, just hand belt sander. But if you're very, very careful on here, you can, with a sharp tool, you can just go real nice and slow.
All over.
And a lot of it I actually did with a spindle gouge on the edges, so that I only have a one very, very sharp edge right where I want to do the cutting, and just went real slow until I got to the inside part of it here, where it's more you can make more headway with a bolt gouge, which is what I did. Oh, yeah. Then I played with different bowl sizes and everything. And I had that other red one here, a couple, 2-3 months ago or whenever. And so I wanted to try it again. And this is the same setup as that. Same setup. But this is 5 inches, 5 1/4 inches, and this is 8. And you can see how close we are. We could go another 3/4 inch at least. So if you want to do something on a lathe this size, this is a 14 inch, I think, right?
Yes.
So 8 inch just about fills it up. Now you could do it outboard maybe, but I don't think I want to try it. Because the distances of the overhang is just so great from outside here that you just can't cut very deep with a parting tool. You just can't do it. And I would bring it right next to it, and I still have 6.5 inches.
No. It's deep.
That's deep. And if you wiggle your parting tool and everything to try to get a little wider so it doesn't bind up, that helps a little bit. But anything you do is not going to be enough to really do the job. Unless you'd have a real wide one and have a big bar. But it works, and it works nice, and it's fun. But nobody else has a 3-sided bowl. Well, how many sides is it? So at first I called it a multifaceted cube.
There,
Multifaceted.
yeah, is that what you're gonna call it?
Pass the little one around.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is the same wood. I used this wood again because I had it on hand, and I dyed this. What's the blue called? Navy blue. This is navy blue. But I tell you, if you get it in nice bright sunlight, it does not look black. It's almost a purple.
It's like Purple Heart.
Yeah. And so I dyed it, and get the dye from a fabric department, the RIT, the RIT dye, and it doesn't give you any.
No flashbacks to the 70s.
It doesn't give you any measurements on how much water you want to mix it with. It just says this is good enough to do so many yards of fabric. So I dumped it in half gallon, and that was just about right in a 5-gallon bucket that I could immerse this and let it soak for about, I think about an hour. And then I sprayed about 4 or 5 coats of lacquer on it.
Now, what's the wood originally, Mo?
It's basswood.
Oh, wow.
And then on 2 sides, I took my vibrating round sander, because I wanted to get it nice and smooth, because it raises the grain a little bit getting wet. So I wanted to smooth that down, perfectly smooth. Well, you can see on those 2 sides, some of the grain starts showing through. So I decided that's not the way I want to do it. So I just did it by hand with a 320 finish, a 400 finish, and just knocked it off a little bit. And then just put multiple coats of...
So how'd you dry it after you soaked it?
I dried it overnight in the sun. In the sun during the day, then the next morning in the sun.
24 hours?
About 24 hours. I maybe should have dried more. I'll find out later, maybe. But it was nice and dry when I started. It was very
How long
dry.
did you leave it in the dye?
About an hour.
Yeah, we would have dried out in 24 hours.
And that was navy blue.
That was navy blue. And the other piece I had was a bright red, and I also have a green that I haven't tried yet.
I got a red one.
Yeah, I gave it out here.
Yeah.
Bird got it.
Mo, are you using liquid grit dye or?
Yeah. Well, no, I used liquid and the powder, and they both work about the same. Now, from what I've seen. So I want to do these others, and then I'll try a green on it and also red. I saved the dye and just put it in a half-gallon juice container, and I'm just going to save it and use it over and over again. I don't. When it stops working, I guess I'll stop and get another packet. But they cost, I don't know, $1.50 or something. They're very inexpensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's cheap compared to like trans tint. I mean, the only thing I've heard from some forums is that they say that the red doesn't quite have some of the UV resistance, if you will, as some of the trans tint dyes, but
Fade in the sun.
for us,
For us,
it's
yeah.
gonna work out just fine.
Yeah.
Most of us.
Yeah.
But apparently it doesn't really go inside the cells of the wood, or it wouldn't have come off so easy when I sanded it.
We've dubbed them Moe Gingerich.
Yeah, Moe Gingerich to decide that's what it should be
Is
called.
that the name of Hebrews?
Because we can't figure out how many sides it's got, so it's.
Too lazy to count.
Too lazy to count.
Moe Gingerich. Very good.
Y'all just have to spell that.
7 decahedrons.
I like that.
Okay, any other questions?
I wonder what kind if you left it in.
That's it.
Have you had soup in your bowl yet?
Not yet. Oh, I got one other thing to show you. And this is, I think this is just kind of neat. I even called up Klingspor and says, you need to make this available.
Yes.
They should make a cardboard box with an assortment in there. But they didn't. So I just bought it, and I stuck a little PVC pipe in, and I got 7 slots. And the kids love it this way because they can easily get what they need. And it's marked, and I put down 5 inches per. That's it. Don't tear off any more than that, and that way it lasts longer. I just thought that's kind of neat
Yes.
for y'all to see perhaps, because the kids seem to like it. And,
Saves you paper.
yeah, and you can buy this, I think it's five rolls, 20 yards each. 20 yards?
20 feet.
No, it's more than that.
Turn it up and see the inside.
Maybe it's,
Just hold. Just tilt it. Yeah.
20 feet. I mean,
it's more than 20 feet.
I mean, something real
He's got
similar,
the information, I
and
can.
put a hacksaw blade on the side, it makes
That's
it real easy to tear off.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Well, that would be too easy.
And she's-
Yeah, that's too.
But it works pretty nice, and it keeps it organized, so it's not just all over the place. So I thought that's good enough to show you all.
That's very nice.